Jesper from PLEN Living Labs, who will be presenting the work with research and collaboration that they're doing in Denmark.
Thank you. And you can hear me out loud?
Yeah.
Perfect. Unfortunately, I have to leave after my presentation, so I won't be able to join your afterward workshop, but sure I am keen on what we can do collaborative in the future, so keep me posted. So yes, my name is Jesper. I'm working here at the University of Copenhagen. I'm a senior consultant and a team leader for two teams, one running our research farms and another running our what we call tech team. I'll get back to that. See if I can. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you to our testbed called Sjöberg, and we are a part of what is called Plant and Environmental Science, PLEN, and that is a part of the University of Copenhagen. And PLEN, well, what we work with at the University PLEN department is agriculture, biotechnology, and environmental science. Those are our three main pillars, and what we are trying to accomplish is to combine those three things in our research work. And a major part of our research work involves our infrastructure out here in Tostrup, our test beds. So therefore, let me dive a little bit more into what our test beds are. So out here in Tostrup, we have what we call the section of crops science. So out here, besides having our test bed, we work with climate and food security, crop protection, groups working on crop stress physiology. We are working on crop production systems, and there we work both above and below ground. So we have a lot of studies going on root dynamics, horticultural science and biotech, and then also molecular plant physiology and plant phenomics. So we have a quite excellent research infrastructure out here, quite excellent research groups, and we are leading several big, both European, but also national and international research projects. Plant facilities and workshops, that's actually a staff function that supports what is going on at PLEN and supports this section for crop science out here in Tostrup. So plant facilities and workshop, out here in Tostrup, we have the technology team that I'll come back to. We have the experimental farms. We have our orchards called the Pometum, and we have a lot of growth facilities and greenhouses. So that's the test beds we have out here in Tostrup. And then locally inside Copenhagen, called Sjöberg, we also have some greenhouses. We have a garden we maintain, and we have some workshops where we do different various types of engineering, where we can design setups we use for our field experiments. So greenhouses, we have 4,000 square meters. A large portion of them are placed out here in Tostrup, where I'm situated, but we also have something actually inside Copenhagen next to the university in there, where we also have big greenhouse facilities. We are going to expand our greenhouse facilities because we don't have enough space. We can't do that inside the city anymore, so most likely we will expand out here in Tostrup. Just want to see if here's a laser pointer. We will expand out here in Tostrup with yet another greenhouse in a few years. We handle both GMOs, we can handle climate controls. We have very sophisticated greenhouses for climate controlled experiments, and various things we of course do in these greenhouses. Specialized gardeners, weekend holiday surveys on them. So that's the greenhouse facilities. And inside the greenhouse facility, we have this PhenoLab, that's an automatic high throughput phenotyping system that we have, where we have automatic running pots where the plants can be fully automatically irrigated and imaged in a vision setup. Not something that I'll go into details with, but a system we made 6 or 7 years ago in order to do what we call high throughput phenotyping, where the plant comes to the imaging station and not vice versa. If we go outside, and that's where I'm mainly responsible, then we have the experimental farms and the Pometum. So we have here marked in blue around 220 hectares of field land out here. We are situated here. That's where the researchers are situated. The veterinary hospital has actually part of the land out here. They are in another faculty at the university, but they have a lot of activities going on out here. Then we have the Pometum. That's our orchard. That's where we have our gene collection of apples. But we also do research here on wine, on nuts, on new cropping systems within apples, a range of different things. Down here, we have some semi-field facilities where we do deep root research. In some of them, we can go down to 6 and 7 meters to study root dynamics. In others, we use them, Radimax here, we use for screening for the breeders. We have Phenolab, as I showed you in the previous screen, this greenhouse system with automated transport of plants. Then we move into the fields where we have some workshop areas. For example, this crucial where we do recirculation of waste from the city. It's been going on for the last 20 years in large-scale plots. And we have a field where we have done nutrient depletion of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium since the 60s. So this is a very valuable field for us to do nutrient studies. We have a climate station, weather station, and we also have a station where we work with emission measurements, nitrous oxides with automatic chambers. So that we also have and work with. And then up here, I'll come back to that. We're going to establish a new workshop area called One Crop Health, but I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And then we have this big area that is a big challenge to us right now because we have drinking water here, wells for drinking water. So actually in this area, we will be banned from using pesticides. So this will be our new, we'll have to transform this into our new experimentarium within organic farming because pesticides will be banned. So the experimental farms, 210 hectares, these 4 to 5 technicians. And then we do experiments with 1.5 meter width and 3 meter width standard plots, soil sampling, sample processing, phenotyping, general field operations. We are starting to work with robotics and we are moving into more precision and digital farming. And then we have a lot of platforms, these depletion fields, these facilities, semi-field for root studies, climate gases, everything. And especially roots is something we've been working with for many, many years now. So we have a setup so that we can drill in rhizotomes, glass tubes to study roots in the field. When it becomes too complex, we have good collaboration with companies. We had some experiments where we had to go down to 6 and 7 meters to do studies. And there you need heavy equipment to go down there. And over here, this is our newest semi facility. This is actually a hallway that you can walk into, and then we have plots on each side. And this hallway has 1,300 windows you can open down to 3 meters depth. So actually we can get access into this soil going down here. You can open the windows down to 3 meters. We're going to install a lot of equipment to do imaging of roots into the soil, to measure soil water content, to measure nitrate, to extract soil gases like nitrogen oxides. So this is our newest facility for root studies. Being constructed this year, being tested the next 2 years, and then it's ready for research. We are part of what we call the Green Solutions Center. There, Tostrup is a living lab, and the Green Solutions Center, you can go in and read about it. It's a center at the university where we try to collaborate across disciplines. So the idea is that agronomy will collaborate with our legal faculties will collaborate with humaniora, with social science, in order to see how can we, for example, transform our food systems agronomically, but also from a social science point of view, how can we get consumers to require what we produce, for example. And there we want to use the Tostrup out here as a living lab where we gather these different disciplines with different companies in order to see how can we transform crop systems. So next year, we're going to have a strip cropping system out here where we want to gather students from different disciplines. How can you design a strip cropping system? How will it work agronomically? How can you develop new food value chains so that people desire products produced in such a system? How can you change the entire culture around food production so such systems become interesting? is going to be run by robots. So what's the legal aspects about that? All these kind of things. That's something we are looking into also out here in the Living Lab. Future projects. Plant biologicals is something we'll be looking more into. CRISPR-Cas, new breeding systems is something that's coming out here. Robotics and new cropping systems, for sure, that is already started up and it will continue in the coming years. How can we co-design robotics and new crop systems? Plant-based foods, drought is a huge issue that we want to develop facilities to study that. Biochar implementation, and then one crop health. And I would actually like to just dwell on this one crop health, because that's a project we are getting out here now, just to show you some of the new projects we are looking into. So one crop health for next generation crop protection. It's a project where we collaborate the University of Copenhagen with Rod Hampstead Research, University of Aarhus, and it's all funded by the Novo Nordisk Foundation. It's about 60 million Danish kroner we have for the next 6 years, starting up next year. It's based on what we call the Black Grass Initiative over at Rod Hampstead, where they had these fields with a lot of black grass resistant to herbicides. So they actually had some fields where they had given up on how on earth to control black grass. But then they made this initiative. Why don't we make a collaboration or a network of 70 farms, 200 fields? On these fields, we monitor what are the dynamics of black grass in these wheat fields. What can we see of herbicide resistance when we monitor out there? What field management data do we have out there? What is the environmental data we have? All these kind of data were monitored for some years, and then they made this epidemiological approach. They used all these data, machine learning, expert knowledge, to figure out, based on such a big data set, what can we predict is the best procedure in a field like this. So actually, each of these 200 fields were made their own experiment to learn how can we adjust one field according to the conditions we are on right now. And actually, they managed to get rid of the black grass based on the fact that they used this big data set and this approach. And that's what we're going to start out here. We're going to build on what we call the one human health, where health is not something you put medicine into a person and then you cure it. No, there you try to see how are we linked, how are one health for a human linked to environment, to animals, to the way we eat, to the way we do. It's a holistic approach. And we want to do that with crop health. So when we spray a weed with a herbicide, then it will affect the rest of the system. It might affect what kind of pathogens you see later in the season, for example. So one crop health is about agrisystem health, soil health, crop health. So therefore, we're starting up this project. We're going to have a monitoring network in Denmark and in the UK, where we are going to survey and gather a whole lot of big data about the biology and the agronomy and the environment. And it's only going to be in wheat fields, winter wheat so far for starting up, but we're going to gather those data. That's our data background from reality. Then we're going to do this one crop health data platform, this one crop health epidemiology approach. Then we're going to do, and that I'll come back to, a long-term field experiment out here in Tostrup, where we can play around with what we learned from this survey. Then we're going to do a digital twin of such a field based on all the data we acquire in there, so that we can use such a digital twin to generate hypotheses about what is going on, what should we test, also based on the data we gather. And then we're going to make 11 hypothesis-driven PhD projects where we can test some of these things, test new approaches according to data we have and what we see in this experiment, and then move it out to the pioneer farms and the farming and monitoring network again to test it in reality. So it's a big project with some managers from each of the 4 partners who are very skilled within this area. And this is the research area we're going to make out here in Tostrup. This is in Rod Hampstead, where they have a similar research areas, where they combine different cropping procedures, no-till and normal till, with different crop rotations, in order to have a large range of different things to test. So that's in Rothamsted already, and we want to somehow make it out here in Taastrup. So this is what we intend to do. The network farm is what we intend to move towards with this one crop health. We gather all the data we can, and then we use it in an analytic platform to figure out how do we adjust our behavior in the field then. And that requires a lot from a facility, plant facilities and workshops like ours, because it's a brand new area of data management, of deep learning, AI technology. And that's why one part of plant facilities and workshop now is this tech team that I'm heading, because we need to have the staff and the skills that can work with these new types of things we want to do. We are moving beyond agronomy and into digitalization. So therefore I have a skilled staff now that can work with these more technological approaches and data. So some of the things we're already working with is our proximal and remote sensing platforms, where we use drones, robots, satellites for imaging. We have an entire platform to extract data from our imaging to get the information out of our field experiments that we want. And then from that, we pass data on to those researchers that have the experiments. So that's a platform we already have, but we are improving in all our general services. But of course, we can see there's a lot of things coming our way. So we try to have competences now within both greenhouse, high throughput systems, table version, high throughput systems, advanced measuring equipment in the field. We try to help to design new computer systems like based on Raspberry Pis. We work with robots, but we also try to work with much simpler hand-driven systems for some of the measurements we want to do. So this is what we do in this new group here at this test bed here in Taastrup. So that was a short intro to our test beds, what we do, some of the exciting projects that we have coming. I'm always open to collaborations. I'm always open to discussions about how we can do common applications for projects. So therefore, I will also leave my contact info here. We've had very good collaborations across the Nordic countries now with breeders, and we would like to do that, of course, also across other test beds and universities. So that was my presentation.
Thank you, Jesper. I think that we have time for at least maybe one question. If there's anyone who has one, you can raise your hand.
I have one question. You maybe mentioned it, but in what way are you able to involve students? I saw the PhD programs.
Yes.
But in what is there in any way, any parts that you feel that you have a relevant interaction with students?
Yes. So I talked about this living lab in the Green Solutions Center, and there the project we want to start there next year will be driven by students, for example. That will be master thesis students that should run that. We have several fields, one big field out here where we have a variety of different crops and cropping systems that is used for all the teaching we have out here. So we have 2 or 3 courses where students come to Taastrup and are taught. And then we have every year, I think we might have 10 master thesis projects out here and some bachelor projects as well, where students come out here and do experiments in the greenhouse and in the field. And the idea is to further develop our student activities out here. For example, in the one crop health, to make sure that it's not only PhDs, but that we in our system, in our long-term field experiment, make sure we have room for what we call sandboxes, where students can go in and do tests and do small experiments. So we try to think the students into this, and I was not clear enough about that in my presentation, but students and teaching is hugely important to us, and to plant and environmental science, it's one of the key pillars to our financial, to our economy. That's our teaching, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesper.
Yes, you're welcome.
Einar, I was also wondering if you work with farmers.
Yes, so we have collaboration, not as much as we would like to, but we've had some project recent years where some of the experiments were carried on farms a bit away from here. For example, we had some farms where we needed to study the effect of conventional tillage versus no-till versus reduced till, and there we had to move out to farmers' fields and to install some of our equipment. And the idea is, with of course, this one crop health project is to give an even stronger collaboration out to farmers than what we already have. Last year we had a panel visiting from different universities to give their evaluation of our institute on how we perform research-wise. And one of their advices was that we had to improve our connection to agriculture in the research we do. So it's in our minds that we should further improve that. So we do have, but I hope to get more in the future for sure. And we hope to open up for both, especially companies, but of course also innovative farmers to come here.
Thank you, Jesper. We really appreciate you taking your time presenting. Or is it a quick question, Henrik, before we do the very last one then, before moving on to Mære?
Yeah. Sorry that I unfortunately missed the presentation, but what I hear now, I want to reach out to you that presented, because the connection with innovative farmers here, with connection with SLU in Alnar. So I'm just would like to, in a sense, have a matchmaking with you to perhaps talk a bit more about possibilities. So hopefully we can exchange contact information. So sorry that I was not able to attend the meeting. Thank you.
But perhaps, Sophie, you can help with that also, as I have to leave the meeting, but you can make sure that
of course,
Henrik and I get in contact that way.
Yeah, if you have time to just write your email real quickly in the chat, since Jesper won't unfortunately be able to join us during the matchmaking part, but you can always reach out.
And I've just written mine in the chat as well, so.
Yeah, perfect.
Always welcome to reach out, Henrik. I would like to.
And I'm writing mine.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
I'll leave the word to.
Yeah, I got it, Jesper. Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I'll have to leave now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesper.
Bye.
Patrick from Mære landbruksskole. He will be presenting about the lighthouse they have at their facility. Patrick.
I hope you can hear me now, Sophie.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I was a bit nervous. It was my first time using Zoom, but so far so good, video and sound. Now I will also try and share my screen. I think it's this one, right? I hope you see the screen.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes. So I will start out by saying it was an impressive first presentation, and it felt a little bit like coming home again. I took my my master's at Copenhagen University in SLU Alnap, so it was nice to see some pictures again. I think now we're moving quite further north. Maybe I should say welcome to the north, and a little bit different focus maybe, or not different focus, but now we had a really nice university presentation. Our focus here, we are two agricultural high schools situated in the mid-region of Norway. As you mentioned, I'm sitting at Mære Agricultural High School. If you look on the picture in the middle, it's the star a little bit further north. But then we also have another agricultural high school situated just outside of Trondheim. What has happened the last year is that the research departments of these two high schools have been merged, and we now have the name Grønt Kompetansesenter, or Green Competence Center. We are working primarily with students in education, But of course, we also have the research department where we have projects within agriculture, horticulture, energy, climate, and forestry. And we're approximately 14 employees at the department. And we are trying to build up a network here in the region so that we are kind of being used as a demonstration and test arena. And I will come back to that. I will mention some things during the presentation. I can say that these are beautiful summer pictures. When I woke up this morning, it was -16, so it's a bit different outside now. But I think there are some interesting positive things that happened when we merged. And if we look at the production, now this is the two schools combined, we have approximately 200 hectares of cultivated land. Both schools are run commercially. We sell all of our products. The students are highly involved in the production. What is interesting is that Shetland is an organic farm and Mære is a conventional farm. So we see that we have some positive effects there when it comes to different projects and testing. The primary production, cereals and green fodder, but we also have some horticultural production, potatoes and vegetables. And vegetables is both open field and greenhouse production. We have greenhouse infrastructure at both schools. The greenhouse production at Mære is a bit bigger. We have approximately 3,000 square meters divided into 3 sections, tomato, flowers, and an experimental area. On top of that, we have dairy, we have meat, both pig and cattle, sheep. We have students for horses, so we have paddock and poultry. So I think when we combine both of these schools, and I think that is what was really interesting with the merge, is that we have kind of all of the agricultural production within both schools. But then I would say we always need some visions and we always need some goals. And if we look at now this examples will primarily be from Mære, but one of the primary goals is to become the zero emission farm. We are investing and planning in infrastructure and changes in our production strategy to be able to demonstrate for growers how they can reduce greenhouse gas emissions on farm level. And I think with a large variety in production that we have at these schools, it's kind of both positive and negative in how we can do it to be able to reach the goal. And if we look a little bit on what we have done so far, if we look on the left side on this presentation here, most of our buildings are built in wood. Multiple of the buildings have installed solar panels. I think now at Mære we get approximately 100,000 kilowatt per year. On top of that, if we look at energy and energy harvesting, so to say, the greenhouse facility at Mære is a locked system. During summertime, we gather the excess heat from the greenhouse, push it down into the bedrock, and now during winter we use that harvested energy to heat the school and the other facilities. And we get back approximately 1 million kilowatt hours on a yearly basis. So that is one part of the investments we have done in the infrastructure here. Then if we look on the right side, that is ongoing plans. And we are building quite a large compost facility now. We hope that it will be finished in the end of February. This is one way of recirculating our farm level waste back into the system here at Mære. And then we also have plans on building our own biochar plant. Hopefully we can get it somewhat in order in a year or two. But this is kind of the thinking, to build an infrastructure that is a nice demonstration area and test arena, both for partners but also for students and farmers. We have approximately 2,000 farmers visiting us each year. We are having approximately 50 courses per year focusing on agriculture and local food production. And we have on a yearly basis around 20 to 30 research projects going on. And what is interesting is that we also get the young generation with us. I mean, we are 2 high schools. So if we look at the vision of becoming a zero-emission farm, starting point 2007, approximately 1,500 tons of CO2 equivalents as an emission start. And if we look at the investments that have been made and the changes in production systems, we have a reduction of approximately 350 tons up until now. But that we hope to increase further with the coming investments here. And then we're starting to see that we might be able to reach our goals, of course, in collaboration with the partners we have. And during the last 10 or 15 years, the network in the region has grown quite to become quite large. Most of the research institutions in the region have one or several research projects going on here at Mære. And of course, this is closely in close collaboration with financing partners, but also companies. And on top of this, we are able to demonstrate it for growers and farmers by them visiting here, and also by us being more active on presenting the results we get. And I think I can just mention a few examples. I brought up the greenhouse previously. It was built in 2008 with some special infrastructure with energy harvesting. Tomato production, I mentioned it. Flower production. Nord University, that is approximately 20 kilometers north of the school. They have a test lab with insects in one of the chambers in the greenhouse. And then we have also constructed an experimental area of approximately 500 square meters that we can run different climate from the flowers and the tomato. And if we look on the collaboration with research partners, I think one really good example is we have exchanged all of our lights in the tomato production, have had close collaboration with Nibio on optimization of the light regime. It has actually made us reduce the energy consumption by 400,000 kilowatt per year, with increased harvest of 20 to 25% on the tomato. This has been really interesting and I think a good way where we have taken these results and presented it for growers in the region. Now, after New Year, we are starting up a new experiment on biochar. It's a biochar from different materials, both from sea and from land. We have made biochar from our own waste, but of course also coming from the sea. We will test it out in the greenhouse in the new experimental area. And this is a SINTEF project that they are running, and it's nice to be a part of it. In the greenhouse, we have 4 employees working, and on a daily basis, we have students involved in the production, and we also try to present and make them kind of involved in the research projects we have. Then we also have quite a lot of companies that are interested in testing out their products at Mære. If you look at the left side, we have Fibergrow. It's a Norwegian company. Today in the production in the greenhouse, we are using perlite as growth media. This is wood fiber based media from Norwegian spruce. We tried it in a small scale last year with really good results. So now we've split the tomato production in two halves to scale up the testing of the wood fiber. And of course, if we can use wood fiber, we see that we can use it in our research circulating thought at the school, maybe primarily in the compost, but also maybe in the biochar plant for the future. Then when we look at waste products, we have another company, Volero. It's a Norwegian startup. They are creating a soil amendment media by low quality wool. They're trying it out in the greenhouse now. And on top of this, I think now we have 2 research projects looking at different sensor technology for open field and controlled climate. So we're constantly trying to make our production. We're pushing our production and see what is working and what is not working, and then we can present it both for students and for growers. And that is our main goal there. We have had quite a lot of agritech companies trying out their products here at Mære, and we're trying to always make it possible for companies in the region to be able to test out, no matter if it's on open field or in greenhouse, but of course always in close collaboration with research partners. We are the demonstration and test arena, and we are an educational arena, but we see the strength in these large network projects that are. Now I primarily mention what is happening on the agriculture or on the plant production side, but we have quite a lot of projects in the meat and dairy facilities, and then it's the focus on additives for food to reduce methane emissions and so on. So we're trying to have activities in all of the facilities at all times. On top of this, I have another colleague with me at this meeting, Ingrid Gausla. She's sitting at Shetland. Now we have kind of tried, I think at least, to present a lighthouse. She is part of an application for becoming Trøndernes levende jordlab, the region of Trøndelag's living soil lab. And I think this is a really nice opportunity to try and evolve this system that we have built up to these 2 agricultural high schools. And also we see the great opportunities in collaboration. Now I think we have a really good regional collaboration, but of course it's really interesting if we also can get more of a European collaboration with the facilities we have and the people we have working. Now I think I've always used up my time. I would just stop by saying thank you for letting me present a little bit on what we're doing here at our schools and at the Grønt Kompetansesenter. We have 2 homepages that might be interesting for some of you to look at. It's Nullutslippsgarden, the zero emission farm. that homepage is up and running. You can read it in Norwegian or in English. We try and present what we're doing here to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And then after New Year, we are also starting up our green competence homepage that is a little bit more focused on what we do here at the competence center. And we also have all of our courses out there for people who are interested. Now I think, Sophie, I'm finished.
Thank you, Patrick, for presenting the activities that you have in Trøndelag. Are there any questions from the participants?
Thanks for the very nice presentation. I'm Junbin from Nibio. So I'm wondering if you have some project or programs that involve PLEN soil, like organic soil there.
No, we don't have anything on that at the moment. I think now we have a Nibio Steinkjer is situated just 4 kilometers west of us. We have some projects coming up next year on the use of pulp from grass production as animal feed. I think that is what we have at the moment with Nibio.
And I think your colleague, Patrick, will join the matchmaking part. Is that correct?
Yes, Ingrid will join.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I have to go.
Well, so it's possible, perhaps you would like to share your email on the chat if anyone wants to get a hold of you, or otherwise they can, of course, also grab a hold of Ingrid later.
Yes, but I will share it directly.
I will go ahead and talk a little bit about NKJ, Nordic Agri Research. It is us who are hosting this event, and talk you through our open call that we're having at the moment. The reason why we're hosting this event is partly because we want to increase and spread knowledge on living labs and lighthouses in the Nordic region, but we also want to market our open call that we're having right now. So if you don't know NKJ from before, we're a cooperating body funded by the Nordic Council of Ministers. We were founded in 1965, so we've been going on for a while, but currently NKJ is hosted by the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. So the location for us at the Secretariat is in Alnarp, SLU in southern Sweden. And the work that we do at the Secretariat involves coordination of a few projects and committees, for example, around reindeer herding, gender equality, land use conflicts related to agricultural land. But let's see if I can also switch slide. Our primary objective and purpose is to promote cooperation within agricultural and food research in the Nordic region. And we do this primarily by funding Nordic research networks every year. And the open calls that we have and facilitate are anchored in focus areas that are set by the Nordic Council of Ministers. So our job at Nordic Agri Research is to find Nordic research networks, but also to provide knowledge and communicate those activities and conclusions that are provided by these research networks to our politicians. You can see the logo for Nordic Forest Research in this picture too, and that is because we share Secretariat with Nordic Forest Research also, that is shortened with SNS. So a little info about our open call. It is open for applications at this moment, and this time we actually have an open theme. So we invite applicants from all fields of research within food and agriculture. We are looking for research networks that are 2 years long. And the financing that we provide from Nordic Agri Research is a maximum of 300,000 Swedish kronor. The deadline for application is January 31st next year. And some info about what type of funding or what the funding can be used for, pretty much. So the funding is meant to be used for arranging workshops, overall networking activities. So arranging workshops or seminars, meetings, conferences, study visits. You can use the money to produce peer-reviewed scientific papers amongst the participants in the network, produce policy recommendation. Can also be used as a means to meet and write those large-scale funding applications, for example, Horizon applications. You can also produce materials for communicating research results, or for example, if you want to design some specific material for knowledge communication, pretty much. The funding can also be used to create or maintain databases or website. What we don't allow funding to be used for is salaries and overhead costs. So the requirements to be funded by NKJ is first of all, the network needs to consist of participating researchers from at least 3 Nordic countries. But we do encourage to have a larger scope than that. You can also include other countries, for example, the Baltic countries. The co-financing needs to be 50%. I mentioned before, the maximum amount that we fund is 300,000. So it's common that a full project budget is for 600,000 kronos. The co-financing can be in kind. So while the 300,000 that we finance can't be used for salaries, the co-financing can be in salary or other types of infrastructure resources. We demand that each gender needs to be represented by a minimum of 40% in the network. And you also need to include PhDs and young researchers in your network. And if you look to our website, you can find the complete call text with everything you need to know before applying. But also, you can always send us an email if you have any further questions, of course. And that was it from me. Are there any questions about the open call for Nordic Research Networks?
Can you please repeat the maximum amount people can apply for?
300,000 Swedish
Crowns, okay, Swedish crowns, okay, thank you.
And our communicator, Katarina, she's also included some resources in the chat where you can find additional information. When the answer for the proposal will be made. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pal, but I think it will be in the beginning of March. End of February, beginning of March.
Yes.
Is when you will get the answer. Sylvia also has a question.
Yeah, I have another question. Thank you. Is there a maximum amount of Baltic countries that can be involved in the application?
No maximum.
Yeah,
No,
sorry.
there is no maximum.
Okay.
The key is to have enough of Nordic countries. Then you can include as many Baltic countries as you want.
Okay. Okay, so it means minimum 3 Nordic countries, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Helena?
Yes, hi. In the first slide, you you said something about a 2-year duration. Do you mean that the projects that you are funding, that they need to be over a 2-year period, or can they be a 1-year period?
This time it's a 2-year period.
But
Okay,
it doesn't have to be 2 year. If you have a activity plan for 1 year, that is sufficient. It's just that our experience is that building this type of activities takes a little bit more time than expected. So yeah.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Okay, so we go, Henrik, did you have a question?
Just a complimentary question to the things about 2 years. Since focus of funding activities related to events, conferences, but also the build-up of databases and also preparation of applications and scientific papers. I just wonder, 2 years period, do you have any expectations that, for instance, that you arrange more than one event over that period, or that it just takes, it could take up to 2 years to create these kind of things? I just wanted to understand.
Yeah,
because it's no development that's no development project with deliverers on this way. It's related to single deliverables. So can you share with me, Per, how I should see that? This.
That's yeah, we leave that. Actually, I think we leave that to the authors of the application to elaborate on how to build this process. You can start out the first year building networks and doing some activities, and then you can continue the coming year with arranging something, or you can have an ongoing process during this 2-year period. I mean, we are not so focused on results or on research results or published paper or things like that. The aim of the funding is to contribute to the activities among the applicants.
Thank you. That answers my question. Thanks.
I had one question in the chat about how many projects that will be funded. The total budget for this call is 1 million. So that means that we expect 3 to 4 projects to be approved in this open call.
But depending on the quality of the applications, it's up to the board to decide to extend the total amount. Thank you. So it could be 3 to 5 also.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Great. I just changed the microphone. Sorry. This is Anne-Christine. So I have a question regarding the application of international funding. So since it's not hours spent on making the application, is it then money spent on external consultants or companies to help write the project? Or how is that?
It could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
But also the costs for facilitating the meetings, if you're hosting physical meetings.
Ah, okay.
Travel expenses, hotels.
Oh, things like that. Okay, that makes sense.
Like room facilities and things like that.
Thanks.
Johanna?
Thank you. I'm just wondering if Henrik perhaps was before me.
Okay, Henrik, did you?
Please go ahead, Johanna. Okay, a short one. It's a connection to support PhD and young researchers. Could this then be connected to an ongoing research project involving PhDs? Could also be connected to master thesis students?
Preferably PhD students, I would say. Also postdoc.
Okay.
It will be stronger to connect to those than to master students, I think. I think it's that's
Yeah, okay.
the easiest answer to that.
Okay, thanks.
And we'll do one last question with Johanna.
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering, as you mentioned, it's fine to add partners from, for instance, the Baltic countries. And when you then sort of put together the small network consortium for the application, would those persons count when we are ensuring a gender balanced team, or is it only from the 3 Nordic countries that the gendered composition of the team counts?
I haven't got that question before, but I think it's reasonable or logic to say that it's the total group that is we look at.
Yeah, that is how it's been done before.
Yeah.
Oh.
But have we had the question before?
No, I don't think so. No. But it's yeah. I think we will move on to the matchmaking part. You can always email us if you have further questions.